Right guys, long time no speak. I was supposed to make this video a wee while ago and I forgot, but I'm taking this opportunity because mum and dad are away for the weekend, so I can make it now. I'm going to do a video about my experience with chest surgery. I had my chest surgery in June last year with Dr Andrew Yellen down in Brighton. I had it private, so I'm just going to talk about my experiences and that with it. It started off, I went to Sandyford in Glasgow and got my referral letter, and they sent it straight off to Dr Andrew Yellen when they asked me what surgeon I wanted to perform my surgery. Originally I was thinking about Dr Garamone in Florida, as you've probably already heard of him and he's a pretty good surgeon, but Florida's miles away and I personally couldn't afford it. Especially when you talk about the price of surgery, then the price of flights and stays. It was just far too far out of my price range. Anyway, yeah. So I got my referral, and a couple of weeks later I got a phone call from Dr Andrew Yellen's. Hold on. Better put the telly on mute, would be a good idea. Yeah, so I got a phone call to go and meet. Go and meet Dr Andrew Yellen down in Brighton on the 30th of April 2012. So for that I had travelled down with my dad and my sister, took the car down and I think we went down the Sunday, the meeting was the Monday, and then we travelled home on the Tuesday morning, I think it was. Bearing this in mind, it's over a year ago, it's hard to remember now. And at that meeting it was just a case of him explaining what he was going to do. Obviously it looks at your chest and shows you where your scars are going to be and things like that, takes your weight and things to make sure you're suitable. It was a quick meeting. For all that money I spent to get there, it was a pretty quick meeting. And at the time, he gave me dates that I could pick for my surgery. And I picked the 25th of June 2012. And he gave me a price and a rundown of the price. The full price that I paid was £5,920, so I've got it all written down. £5,925, but it's split between the anaesthetist and Dr Yellen's fee, and you pay them both separately. I can't remember exact figures now, but I think it was around about £3,000 and something pound for the anaesthetist's fee and £2,000 something for Yellen's fee, because you've got to pay them separately over the phone. Going down to Brighton was pretty expensive for me. I chose to drive down. Well, I didn't drive, my dad did. And it's about 400 miles there and 400 miles back for Brighton, so we were about £200 in diesel, £100 down, £100 back. Don't quote me on that, I think that's right. I've had to use my past video that I made to try and remember this. Yeah, so he asked you to stay down there for a couple of days. I think it was 3 days maximum. So we travelled down on the Sunday morning, and I had booked a hotel for the Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday night, which would have been 4 days, 3 nights. Yeah, so it's not cheap to go private. It's £200 for diesel. The hotel was pretty expensive. I was £400 for those 3 nights. But then I did pick a pretty expensive hotel right in the beachfront, but it was a pretty cracking hotel. It's called the Queen's Hotel. If you ever want to look into that, it's pretty smart. One thing I didn't take much account in it, and the only reason I knew about it was because I went there in April, was parking fees. Because we were right in the beachfront, we were £23 for 24 hours for parking, but you got some form of discount. I couldn't work it out, I still can't, for like overnight and things like that. But I think we spent about £70 in parking in the 4 days, so try and budget for that. Yeah, so my experience, we got there for the Sunday afternoon, and I was to be in the Nuffield in Woodingdean, it's called, in Brighton, for 7 AM on the Monday morning. I went there and you got to meet Dr Yellen. He would talk you through the surgery, and then he would draw the lines on your chest and things where he's going to make the incisions, and you'd dress into your theatre stuff. And I went in for surgery for, I think it was 11:15 in the morning, and I was back out again for 1:30 in the afternoon. It's a very good experience, and Dr. Yelland is amazing, and his staff all there were brilliant. Yeah, took good care of me. You get before you go in, you get to pick like what you're gonna have for your dinner and things like that at night, because they obviously feed you. They'll keep you in overnight. I don't know if that's a personal thing or they do that with everybody, but they kept me in. They wanted to keep me in for more than one night, but because obviously you've got your drains in, I didn't drain a lot. I didn't have a lot in my drains in the next game morning, so they said it was fine and I could leave. So I left on the Tuesday morning at, I think it was about 10 o'clock in the morning. But I was quite ill on the Monday night. I chose not to have the anti-sickness jab because I didn't have any experience with anaesthetic. I've never had an operation before. I thought I'd be fine, and I was sick as a dog. But it didn't really hit me till about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was pretty ill. I had the shakes and everything. So I didn't get my dinner, but they made me a nice egg piece later on. I'm going to put at the end of this video my chest now, a picture of it, because I'm sitting at a window and I'm not going to show you it now. But my results are pretty cool. I've got really thin scars. They're stretched a little bit, but they're pretty thin scars. They go to about under my arm. I haven't really got any much feeling in my nipples. I thought I would have, because when I first had the surgery I could feel them, and I could feel like tingles and things in them. I thought I'll maybe get some sensation, but to be honest, even having no sensation, it hasn't bothered me whatsoever. It probably won't bother you. You'll be too busy thinking, yeah, I can go swimming and go to the beach with no top on and things like that. Which I've done all those things, and I don't even get anybody looking at the scars are that good that you can hardly even see them. I think I've covered everything. Stay £400, surgery was 5925. Travel for me was £200 because I drove down. I think it's a bit cheaper in the plane and the train. No, I think the train works about similar price, because the train's quite expensive as well, because you've got to get a train from, say, Glasgow down to or something. I don't even know the train station, but it's like half down to like London. Then you've got to go on the subway from London down to Brighton, something like that anyway. In the plane, obviously, you've got to go to Heathrow and then find other travel like the train or bus or taxi or something from Heathrow down to Brighton. It worked out the cheapest for me because my mum and dad were going with me. My dad's a driver, so it was a lot easier for things like the Wednesday morning when we chose to go back up the road. I didn't have to worry about going through airport security with bandages on, things like that. It was a case of getting in the car and going. Pain wise with surgery, I'd honestly say it's not painful. It's uncomfortable because you can't move and you need help putting t-shirts on and getting washed and things like that, but I certainly wouldn't say it was painful at all. What it does feel like is if you move, you're going to split your chest in half because you feel quite delicate. A lot of people say bring button up shirts up the front and things like that, but I didn't really bother, and I found that after the surgery I ended up quite bloated, so the shirts I did bring with me didn't fasten at the belly anyway, so I had a load of t-shirts like this and I brought them down with me and they fit no bother. I just need my mum to help me get it over my head, sort of thing. You're not allowed to bathe for 10 days until you get your stitches out, which is not nice. You stink. But I found a way of going through that. I would fill the bath half up, and as long as you can get in and out in the bath without using your hands, you're fine, because you can get in, get your lower body washed. My mum would like wash my head like over the bath for me, so I wasn't actually that bad, but you still pretty stink because you can't get a decent wash at all, and sleeping is a nightmare because I sleep on my side or on my belly, and you can't do either of that. You've got to sleep on your back, so I propped up a lot of pillows so that I couldn't move during the night. And I did find sleeping was absolutely horrendous during that time. And what else can you do? You can't drive for 3 weeks until, I think that's just with any operation though, you can't drive for 3 weeks till the anaesthetic fully wears off. Yeah, so getting my stitches out, because I stay in central Scotland, I didn't want to go all the way back down to Brighton 10 days later to get my stitches out, so they arranged for me to go to the Nuffield in Glasgow to have them removed and get fresh bandages and things on. But 10 days you don't get bandages on your scar lines, you just get them over your nipples, so that when, because obviously they're still scabby, and you don't keep them on much longer. I think it's only a matter of days you keep until you run out of the, I can't remember what they're called, those bandage things that are waterproof. Until you run out of them, you have to wear them, just so that when you're in the shower, obviously the water can't get into your nipples. It's no stitches to use, it's staples, and when I got them taken out I was a bit scared because it was going to be really sore, but it wasn't sore at all, even getting the ones around the nipples. But I think at that point you're still pretty numb, you can't feel it, and they're tiny, they're about that, the staples. You just use a quick wee gun, take them out and that's it. Nothing to worry about there, nothing to worry about pain wise, and I definitely highly recommend Dr Andrew Ellen to anybody in the UK who's considering chest surgery. I do believe he's now doing NHS as well, as I'm sure some of you already know that, and you can choose him. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, I definitely highly recommend the man, I think he's brilliant, and if I was to choose all over again, I'd choose him again. I'm going to post a link to his trans people website, because he has one for his cosmetic stuff, and he has one specifically for trans surgeries. So I'll post that in the video link thing, and I'll post at the end of this a video of my chest now. I don't know if I've got pictures from just post-op. I might have, I'll have a look. If I can find them, I'll put them on as well. Yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah, I definitely highly recommend the man, I think he's brilliant. Yeah. So I'm just checking over this, make sure I got everything. Yep, so that's it. Cheers.